Welcome back, everybody. Great to have you here today. Love being able to go over all of these Training Thursday shows or a lot of the anti-aging longevity shows that we're doing. Today absolutely combines both. We're going to be talking about nutrition. We're going to talk about training, meaning exercise. We're going to be talking about longevity, anti-aging. A lot of the concepts that I go deep on inside of high performance health. High performance health is all about teaching you how to live past 100 healthily, all the advancements that we have combined with the ancient Ayurvedic wisdom. So it's very, very unique. We go through advanced lab testing, advanced nutrition, so much inside of there, super exciting, and also an amazing community of a few hundred now of our HPHs. So you can find that over at highperformancehealth.org. But today I want to go over something called G-Flux. Now, I went over G-Flux on episode 2693. And I'll be linking that up today on episode 2757. So that looks like, well, not quite 100 episodes or so ago, but I want to link that up. And that's because if you don't know what G-Flux is, I do an in-depth show. All my shows are about 15 minutes or so. I want to be respectful of your time. I try to do a daily show so that every single day you can learn a little bit more about integrative health, functional medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, advanced exercise routines, nutrition, intermittent fasting, hormones, digestive health, autoimmune issues, you name it, right? So anything that you would learn inside of a traditional naturopathy or integrative health or functional medicine-based practice. And we always give you, again, the best of what has actually been proven to work, not only in the science, but actually in the real world inside of a practice as well, where we've seen now well over 250,000 client appointments. So I go in depth on G-Flux. I'm going to give you a little refresher right now. This is actually a really important topic if you've never heard about it before. So think about it like this. We're looking at like overall metabolic rate. So every individual burns a certain number of calories per day based on their metabolic rate, their basal metabolic rate. Some people, I always use the example of like a 5'8" person, they weigh 160 pounds, one person, and maybe another person weighs 200 pounds at 5'8". That happens all the time, right? Like as I see, or let's say 150 pounds and 200 pounds today. It's a 50-pound swing. Well, I've had many clients that are 5'8", 200 pounds, and many clients that are 5'8", 150 pounds. So it's like a 50-pound swing. They're both 5'8". And so the person at 5'8" has a faster metabolic rate. Right? They might be more of that Vata-based body type or more of the Vata-Pitta maybe, whereas the 200-pound person, maybe they're more of the endomorph body type or Kapha body type. And I can obviously link up to my Ayurvedic dosha shows as well for different body types. But the truth is that they have different metabolic rates, at least for right now. It could be slowed because of low thyroid levels or weakened response to insulin, right? So there's a lot of nuances behind that. Today I'm talking about strictly G-Flux. So let's say the 150-pound person, they burn, let's just say they burn 2,000 calories per day. Okay. And let's say they burn 2,500 calories per day for this example. So they burn 2,500 calories per day in their natural metabolic rate plus like the exercise that they do, right? So it might be like 2,000 calories plus 500 calories burned per day. It's 2,500, right? So that individual then, let's say they also consume 2,500 calories. So that then keeps them at a neutral in and out, right? So the energy out every single day from their metabolic rate plus their exercise and movement is 2,500, all right? Because let's just say it's 2,000 for their natural body, and then they add 500 calories a day for their walking and their resistance training, let's just say, okay? So great. So they put out 2,500 calories per day, an energy expenditure for their body, and they also take in 2,500 calories through diet, through nutrition, right? So they would have then a G-Flux of calories out plus calories in, right? So expenditure plus ingestion. That's 5,000 for this individual. And I got that by 2,000 calories. Let's just say it takes to for their normal bodily, energy plus 500 calories a day in their movement and exercise. That's 2,500. Then they consume, let's just say it's 3 meals. They're all about 800 calories or so each. It's about 2,500 calories per day. Great. So 2,500 out, 2,500 in, 5,000 is their G-Flux score because I just add them together. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, let's look at the other person that's 200 pounds. Their metabolic rate, instead of being, let's say, 2,000 calories per day, is 1,500. Okay? So they have a lower metabolic rate. That means anything they eat over 1,500, they're going to start to gain weight. Now, the person that's 200 pounds, let's just say they don't exercise. This is just an example, okay? So they don't exercise. Now, that means they're not getting any extra added burn for the day. So it's 1,500 calories. Now, this person only consumes 2,000 calories per day. So people wonder like, well, this person weighs 150 pounds. They're 5'8". They get to eat 2,500 calories per day, and they don't gain any weight. Yet one person's 5'8", 200 pounds. Metabolic rate's 1,500. They only eat 2,000 calories per day. So they eat less than the person that weighs 150 pounds, and yet they continue to slowly gain weight. Why? Because their G-Flux is 3,500, not 5,000. So again, just a refresher. The person that's 150 pounds, their metabolic rate, let's say, is 2,000 calories per day. They burn 500 calories, an extra 10,000 steps, resistance training, whatever it might be. Okay, so they burn 2,500 a day. Then they take in 2,500 calories, so they just maintain 150 pounds. All right, now the second person, 200 pounds, metabolic rate is lower because of, let's just say, high cortisol at night, poor sleep, low thyroid, low vitamin D, poor insulin resistance. Okay, so this person now only eats, their metabolic rate's 1,500 calories. They don't burn anything extra through exercise, and they eat 2,000 calories per day. Now they're at a 500 calories surplus. So they're actually going to continue just to slowly gain weight. It's only 500 calories, when you look at it, but like, yeah, they'll slowly continue to gain weight. Their G-Flux is 3,500, even though they weigh 50 pounds more. They have a slower metabolic rate and lower G-Flux, which again is just the energy relationship, right, between calories in and calories out. So I know when people always say it's all about calories in, calories out, sure it is, but keep in mind, this person isn't moving their body extra, and at the 200-pound person, and they may have thyroid issues, sleep issues, cortisol issues, estrogen dominance, low vitamin D, insulin resistance. It's not all about calories in, calories out, because what are you going to tell this person? Just to continue to eat less and eat less and eat less, and then, exercise more on top of it? It's just going to make them more hungry. So that's why, again, when we look at these things, it's important to be kind, to be gentle as a practitioner, understand that there's a lot of nuances, and we can't just tell people like, you just need to eat less. Well, yeah, of course, just eat less. You'll eventually lose more weight. But how few calories this person going to eat, especially at 200 pounds, right? So let's understand that. That was my recap on G-Flux. Now here's the problem though. G-Flux is also can be taken way too far, right? So it's like, you do want scenario one, right? You don't necessarily need to weigh 150 pounds, but the truth is this, scenario one is healthier, right? Because the person's maintaining a healthy weight, they have energy expenditure at a proper amount on a daily basis, they're getting a lot of benefits out of their nutrition, their exercise, etc., right? So that's great. But the problem is that we see people, and I see people that I admire, right? Like that are great because they're showing what the human body can do, but they're taking G-Flux way too far. And that's the problem. Like there are people that on social media that are running a half a marathon a day, that they're doing these amazing feats. And by the way, like a lot of those people I admire. I think they're absolutely amazing, and they're pushing their body to the limit, and they're saying, listen, like you could do more too. But the problem is that there is an upper limit to where G-Flux is healthy, and nobody talks about that. So let's say, for example, a person out there is running a marathon a day. They're going to be burning at least 5,000 calories per day. At least 5,000 calories per day. If you're running a marathon, it's much higher, right? Much higher. But let's just say it's 5,000 calories a day. That person then needs to consume, and is likely consuming, at least 4,000 to 5,000 calories to try to keep up with those energy demands. If not, they're going to become really tired and really weak, right? Because you can't expend tons of energy and not take in nutrition. So this person then, if we do the math, has a G-Flux of 9,000 to 10,000 on a daily basis. A lot of calories out, a lot of calories back in. You might say, well, that's incredible. This person has a super high G-Flux. And if you're in the exercise sphere or nutrition sphere, you would say that's amazing. That is like literally top condition, peak condition. Don't necessarily disagree on that at all. What I'm saying is, if your goal is anti-aging and longevity, it's time to rethink that. And it's time for us to rethink that as a field, as an industry, that there are upper limits on things. Because as you expend that much energy and physical demand on the body, you create tissue damage and increased free radical damage in the body. When you take in 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day, which, raising my hand right now, if you're watching this on video, I used to do that when I was in my early 20s. I wanted to take my frame, which is naturally the 5'8", 160 plus pound individual, to 200 pounds. I was eating 5,000 calories a day. I was eating 275 to 300 plus grams of protein a day. I was weight training for a good 45 minutes to an hour, 4 to 5 times a week. Massive energy expenditure just because of my body, especially my early 20s, high metabolism, tons of food coming in to get to an anabolic state as a surplus to overdo that. A lot of inflammation in the body is caused, a lot of free radical damage, a lot of oxidative stress. I'll explain that in a moment, which also comes not only from energy output, but food coming in. When you eat, your body also has to produce a greater amount of energy for digestion, but also the chemical breakdown of food itself, from fats to fatty acids, from proteins to amino acids, from carbohydrates to specific types of monosaccharides, polysaccharides, sugars, etc. So all of that takes energy. All of that also takes demand on the digestive system, which can really zap a lot of your energy. And also maybe not so great for your intestines, liver, gallbladder, and kidneys, which do a lot of the detox and processing as well of everything that you consume. So when we look at this, we want to understand this process of, I'm not going to go deep on redox today. I've talked about that in the past before. But essentially, you create massive free radicals in the body. Think of that as essentially playing ping pong in the body, and everything that or pong in the body, everything that the ball bounces off of is creating tissue damage and inflammation. And so your body then needs to have more antioxidants to combat the oxidative stress that's being created. That begins to wear down the organism. So basically, although it's amazing to be able to do these feats, and I admire them myself, like really admire them, especially a few of the individuals that I have in the back of my head, because they show what is possible for this human body. And to be able to run a marathon a day or a half marathon a day, it's a lot, and not sleep at the same time, not get as much sleep. Because what happens is, in the background, the body, it's called the disposable soma theory of aging, and I'm going to link that up as well at episode 2757 today, is that your body can't keep up with all demands. So it keeps up with the demands that it needs in order to meet the demands that you continue to place in your body, right? So the reason you gain larger muscles or build larger muscles is because your body sees that as basically a protective mechanism against the heavy weights that you continue to, throw at it, right? And if you're going to run a marathon, it continues to build up all the tissue damage that was created based on the demands that you're imposing on it. But then what's happened in the background is it's not able to always keep up with DNA replication properly and a lot of the immune-based function. So I share this simply because what I don't want to do, and I know that it's a tricky situation, and I would even say scenario here, is because we admire, and so do I, the people that push the body to its upper limits. But as we've seen with really a lot of anabolic steroid use or really long endurance cardio-based events, it does not bode well for a lot of individuals once they get into their 60s and beyond. And I've talked about this, I talk about it in depth inside of High Performance Health, but there is this spot within your 50s that the body starts to really show the effects of aging unless, and it's a unless that should be bolded and underlined, you are able to keep up with the body's demands, and that you are able to then get as much recovery and rejuvenation as it takes to deal with any hermetic stressors or stresses you place in your body. And you can do it. But it's at that point that you need to decide, which way am I going? Am I going to go out in a blaze of glory, right? Like for 60 something strong years? And maybe that's the scenario. And like, who am I to judge? I'm not. I'm just me. I can only judge for me. That's it. I don't place judgment on anybody else. But I just know that a lot of people, they don't want the game to end. And if you knew that the game was ending, you'd say, I want more time. Like, I want more time. I have more potential. There's more I want to do. I want to see my kids grow up. I want to see my grandkids grow up. I want to see maybe my great-grandkids grow, like any of those things. Or there's work that you love, or a hobby, or a passion, or a nonprofit. So I share this with you today is because there are upper limits to everything that we do. There really are. And so what we want to do is not call something moderation. We actually want to find that what's called equilibrium, that dynamic equilibrium where the body's able to keep up with its demands, and not just all the energy you put out, you take all of that back in as fuel, because in the background, the body still has to process that. So there is a sweet spot for every individual. Some people can do more than others. There's no doubt about it in terms of output. And some people can't, and that's okay. That's what we were necessarily blessed with, and we have all sorts of great things within our body as well that make us unique and make us special as well. So I brought this here for you today simply because I probably think that there's maybe one or two people or maybe clients of yours, if you're a practitioner, that you'll be able to help this with and start to explain this, or maybe even just share the podcast with them. Today's episode is able to be found at stevencabral.com/2757. And I do hope it was helpful, a little bit more of an in-depth, intricate topic. But again, like I said, if you found the show helpful, do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing day. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.